Welcome back to another episode of the Easy Dubs podcast. We are talking British Open today, the Open. I love talking golf. I feel like we always have a good time talking golf because it's the one thing I know the best, it seems like, as a golfer. But today we have on Ryan from at SharpMinds247 on Twitter, our
hmm
local Sharp. How
I'm
are you,
good. How
Ryan?
are you?
I'm doing well. Played a little golf today, and now we get to talk a little golf, and then we get to watch a little golf
Yeah, we're
tomorrow.
like
So
we're like
honestly, I'm
it's like
excited for
six
this
hours
weekend.
away. So
Yeah, I know it
it's
seems to be.
crazy.
I know exactly. It's creeping towards us quicker and quicker.
Uh-huh.
It seems like, especially once we're the 9 hour time difference definitely makes it really show up a lot faster than you always
Right.
think. But I'm excited to talk a little British Open and hear your thoughts about kind of where you're finding value and maybe what are some good bets that
hmm
that some of our Dub Club community can follow this week. I'd love to just start off, like I just said. How do you find value in majors? I mean, I guess, majors in
hmm
general, but maybe the British Open specifically. Like, where are you finding value in some of your picks? Don't give away too many of maybe your selections, but where are you finding the value kind of this
Hey,
weekend?
let me just say I'm cool with giving away my selections because, like I said, there's like 6 hours till the first ball in the air. So, I mean, if you're somehow able to watch this, you can take whatever you want. But no, in terms of majors, I mean, you really don't want to get too crazy. Obviously, form's important, but most importantly, there's only certain guys that win majors. I mean, there's very few guys who are one and done. Um, I mean, you need guys who are experienced, who've been played multiple, maybe even with double-digit majors. Um, but more importantly, when you play a course like a links course, I actually haven't. Well, I mean, I played a couple like in the United States, like in Ocean City, Maryland, and stuff. So I get the idea a little bit, but I've never actually been overseas yet. But I plan to soon. Um, but with that being said, Lynx is a whole new style. So you really need to place a lot of weight into experience. And you look at guys who are just, especially this kind of course, the old course at St. Andrews is probably, well, they call it the home of golf. It's probably the most famous course in the entire world, in the entire sport. And then you have Augusta up there. But so when you have a tournament like this, I mean, it's just even you look at the guys who've won here. I mean, they're all like the top, the most famous players of all time. So essentially, it kind of is going to play like an Augusta feel in a sense. It's going to come down to a lot of short game and a lot of experience on how to play different 6 irons from 30 yards. Like you're going to have to bump and run. So it's just guys who've been here before. So I'm looking. That's exactly where I'm starting the board. I mean, I'm going to top inside the world ranking, like 20 rank, like the top 20 in the world. Um, and then since it's going to be playing pretty hard, you've probably seen all over the place how firm these fairways are. You're getting 50, 60, 70 yards of roll, depending if you hit some of these bumps, these nodules on the downslope. So, I mean, this course was built in 1850. So they're like all these par fours are like 400 max. So theoretically, we could have guys with eagle putts in their first round since the wind's apparently not supposed to be too much, gusting up to 18, but it's pretty steady between like 5 and 10, I'm seeing. So, I mean, it's going to come down to being able to play the slopes, play like the smart shots. You see Tiger out there in his warm ups, just all he was doing was hitting crazy. Barely, maybe they got off the ground maybe 1 foot. He was hitting like 6 irons, like 50 yards, and just watching it roll. The fairways are rolling faster than the greens because you can't make these greens fast here with these fairways. They're rolling at like a 10, 11 stimp, I believe. The fairways are running like 13, 14. So it's like, but what they're going to do, and that's what I'm hearing, is they're going to tuck these pins, especially if the wind doesn't do anything. They're going to put them in a crazy few paces on from the left, from the right, etc., on slopes. So that's what's going to come down to is guys who can. It's going to come into lag putting, to be honest. I'll get into this more, but it's going to come down to guys who can free putt avoidance, guys who bogey avoidance, lag putting, stuff like that nature. So that's kind of where my head all started. Experienced guys, and then guys who aren't going to make many bogeys. And I looked at a lot into three putt avoidance because I think that's going to be huge this week.
Yeah, I'd love for you to go more into kind of, obviously three putt avoidance, you kind of mentioned that, but maybe some of these other numbers that you're talking about that are going to be a little bit more important. Obviously, every course is a little bit different. Every major is a little bit different. This one definitely, obviously, it sticks out because it's the one event that they cross the ocean for. So what are some of those kind of key stats that you're looking at? And maybe go into them a little bit deeper and maybe some guys that are up there or towards the top that might be, guys to look at just based on those
Yeah,
numbers?
so I already talked about the three putt avoidance, lag putting, obviously bogey avoidance too, but also, I mean, scrambling. Scrambling is huge here. I guess a lot of this, there's a lot of Augusta, like a correlation with these different slopey greens to me. And I think it's just going to come down to creativity. You have to move the ball, you have to flight it, you have to keep it low, you're gonna have to hit flop shots. You're gonna have to, and the other thing is the main defense here, especially if the weather is benign as they plan it to be. It's going to be the pot bunkers that litter the fairways. I think there's about 110 of them. Um, Everyone hears a story when Tiger won here. He all week, he didn't hit one bunker, which is absolutely insane. So
None.
I mean, you really
Hmm.
need to avoid these because if you get into them, you're basically chipping out lateral and you're trying to get up and down. But then with these greens, again, you're gonna make a 30 foot for par. So you distance can help, but if you have distance and accuracy, great. But a lot of guys are pull. I know Morikawa pulled out his 3 wood or 5 wood this week, and he's rolling with a 2 iron. So um, accuracy off the tee. I mean, it sounds stupid. In every golf tournament, you want to be accurate, but this is more important because you want to avoid these pop bunkers, and then if you can, the course shouldn't be that hard to be honest, especially if the weather stays the way it is. So I'm putting some weight into total driving, which takes into effect, it takes kind of account of both distance but also accuracy because you can try to
Hmm.
overpower it, but I mean if you're just landing in certain spots, you can roll 50 yards into a different pop bunker. You don't even think that's in play. So it's like it is going to be hard because of how firm it is because the ball's just going to not a lot of these fairways are not even going to stay on, I guess, especially if they're dog legged because you're just going to be rolling. And then depending on what part of the fairway you hit. So, I mean, I'm putting a lot of emphasis into just total driving, just kind of accurate guys who like can reliably just get down the middle for you. Um, and then scrambling because every major champion can scramble the way around. It's always an important thing. Um, Up and downs just keep the round going. They're better than birdies at times. Getting up and down for that big par save, even a big bogey save. Just don't double the whole week, and you should be right up there. I think anything 69, 70 all week, 4 times should be right up there. I'm thinking minus 15 to minus 17 should be the winning score. Unless I'm going to see more after round one, but I don't know what they plan to do. I know that they should probably tuck the bunkers or tuck the pins maybe day one, I think, so no one gets like way too out of hand right away, and then maybe they'll mess around with it. But I know greens and regulation is something I'm not really caring about because I saw something today. It's funny. One of the greens here can fit 7 of Pebble Beaches, just one of them. I mean, every Pebble Beach is they're like fingernails. So I mean, that's the other extreme. But it's
Yeah.
just like everyone's gonna hit the greens. I mean, it really isn't that hard, but
Yeah.
what part are you going to hit it? And that's why I keep going back to it's going to come down to who can lag, also called approach putting a lot of times on the PGA stats, who can get it the closest. And there's a couple guys like right away that pop off the bat. Cantley's number one. He gets it inside 2 feet almost all the time. So, but weirdly enough, he's like over top. He's not in the top 100 of three putt avoidance. So it's weird. So I don't know what that means, but
Hmm.
I do put a lot of emphasis on a lot of previous winners have been approach putt, aka lag putting. That's been very important. So guys like Cantley, guys like Justin Thomas, um, Shane Lowry, uh, Jordan Spieth, some of them names. Will Zalatoris, ironically, he's really high up on the approach putting, but he is not good at three putt because he
Really?
misses those 3 4 footers. That's his thing.
Yeah, he always misses the short
So
ones, it
yeah,
seems like.
so so
That's such
that's
an
but
interesting
that's
stat.
more like obvious because we all talk about it. But I guess Cantley might be similar in a sense, but not as obvious. So like the people you just want to be guys who can lag
Mhm.
putt essentially. I think that's what's gonna be the winner at the end of the week. I mean, off the tee is important, but then guys who can just constantly just you're gonna have a lot of 5 6 footers all week, and the guys who make them are gonna be
Yeah.
the ones that are sitting there with the claret jug on Sunday. So
Yep. You got to make those comebackers. Those
yeah.
comebackers are really important. I think, one of the things that was really interesting, you mentioned the Masters kind of a couple times and some similarities between Augusta and St. Andrews. And going into Augusta this year, we had a very hot golfer in Scotty
Hmm.
Scheffler, who was just on an absolute tear going in, felt like nobody was beating him. Right now, we have maybe not as much of a hot streak, but similar in terms of a couple of wins in a row. We got Xander Schauffele, right, who's won 2 in a row, won the JP McManus Pro Am. So we can count that as 2.5 if you like. Um, with him, with a guy you kind of mentioned, like obviously you're looking more at kind of the deeper stats and maybe not, current hot streak. Is Xander someone that you're looking at this week? Obviously, he's not a major winner yet, but he could end up. This has a chance to be his first win. Or are you kind of staying away because maybe the number's a little bit bloated right now?
Absolutely. I'm all over Xander this week. I'm on him at 15-1. I'm on him at T10. I'm on him at T20. I mean, I was on him last week actually. Like we cashed it outright. It's only 16-1, but I mean, you got to ride the hot hand. The guy is so consistent. The guy is literally at the top of the board in bogey avoidance. He simplifies the game. He actually started getting a little crazy on Sunday off the tee, but if you're gonna get crazy off the tee, other than certain holes with OB on the back nine especially, um, you can kind of get around here. I mean, there's a lot of fairways where guys are hitting at the other fairway on purpose, just to because you can. It's
Hmm.
better angles in. It's going to be a little dangerous. There's balls flying everywhere, but so um, I'm all over Xander. He's just he he at JP McManus little 2-day tournament he won. Then he won in Scotland last weekend. I mean, how do you not? I mean, 15-1. I have almost a point 0.8 unit on it, so I mean it still would pay pretty nicely. I'm all over Xander, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's just especially because again, you mentioned earlier, it's like these guys that can do it in the Linksy style golf, right? And we've seen it multiple rounds in a row. He's
Yeah,
playing good, and I think he's playing as good as anyone. And so I think he's got a great chance. I'm also just a big Xander fan. He's a San Diego guy. I live in San
yeah, he's
Diego,
nice. He's
so
always
I
smiling.
got to say I can
He's an
appreciate that.
Olympic medalist.
Yes,
And like
yes,
T10, for example, was
he's a
plus
joy to
200, or I
watch.
got 190. That's crazy odds, I think. The guy is going to definitely be up
Yeah,
there, and you can definitely cut this and make a meme out of it when he's not top 10. But he's going to be up there.
when he misses
Yeah,
the
he's
cut,
not.
yeah,
Yeah, if he
exactly.
misses a cut, I'm not gonna say anything stupid. I would probably take off a few weeks. There's no way.
Yeah, no, I'd be very surprised if that happens. Just there's too much going right
Hmm.
for him. I think what was really interesting, let's kind of moving through the majors. I thought the last one was really interesting. At Brookline, the U.S. Open, it felt like a storyline U.S. Open, right? With Matt Fitzpatrick winning the whatever it was, the USAM, and then coming back. Are there any storylines you're following this week that might kind of pop up and be kind of a fun bet to throw down, even on someone that's maybe some lower odds, but maybe who's got some history or just again something related to St. Andrews where maybe they have a chance to kind of make a run.
Yeah, that's another. I'm on my fourth outright this year, and the other one, Fitzpatrick was one of them as well. I love that storyline. I mean, I thought it was too hard to pass up. A lot of guys like he can't win over here in the U.S. He he's always close. He's always close. But I mean, it was too perfect. So in terms of storylines, I kind of do get that vibe here as well. I mean, it's kind of hard because the course history from here is like you go 2015 and 2010. I mean, there's like not many of the guys. I mean, the guys who played in that now are in the field are probably we're talking 5-digit odds. They're not really going to compete like Zach Johnson and stuff. But I mean, how do you skip the big cat here? I'm actually on Tiger Woods. The guy is just oozing with like just how much he loves it here. It's his favorite course, he said. It means that it's where it all started. He got his first one here. Um, he's just you can tell how much he wants this one more than anything else. Like the Masters, we didn't. It was more of a build up of wow, he's walking in 2 months or whatever it was. But now it's like he said he got
Hmm.
way stronger in the gym. The course is much flatter, way easier than um, what was the course called in the PGA? I'm drawing a blank in Oklahoma, but he said that was hilly. The Augusta's Southern Hills.
Southern
That's it.
Hills, Southern
Augusta is
Hills. Yeah,
obviously
yeah, yeah.
ridiculously hilly. This is the first time. It's not easy, but he says he feels comfortable getting 4 rounds in. So you can get a top 40 at even money, but I went to top 20 for plus 320. I mean, the guy, you can just tell he wants it, and he has the
Come on.
experience on that. You don't just learn those 30-yard 6-iron shots overnight and to keep it low and how it's
Hmm.
going to roll out. And that's all he's been practicing. He didn't even play today. I heard he hit one tee shot. It started raining a little bit. He walked off. He just is ready. You can tell he's ready. He nuked it apparently. That's what I read. Um, and with the rollout, not that he's missing distance by any means, but the guy's going to be playing. He was shaping everything. He was hitting the low. He had the tee up, tee down. He was hitting cuts. He was shaping. He's one of the best shapers we've ever seen. The guy knows how to get around here. He has like multiple T10s. He would win. I mean, for for a course that should be playing very hard, and he'll be up by the greens very often. I hope. It's pretty wide, so if he does start, sometimes he starts fading or slicing the ball a bit. But a couple of holes that could be a problem. But I mean, you have to roll with the big cat here. 320, I threw a half
I
unit
mean,
on
it's
it. Yeah, it's
Tiger.
Tiger, and it's also how do you not root for
Yeah, it's
Tiger? And
Tiger.
if you're like, why did I bet that? And come Friday at night, it's like, well, whatever.
Yeah. No, you can't
Yeah,
not root for Tiger. I was trying to stay away from Tiger questions because it's almost
yeah,
too easy, right? He's just like it almost feels like this is the culmination of maybe again, he's completing the comeback again, and it's a course that again suits the legs a little bit. He's not going to be, I think you could tell that he's been struggling a little bit, at least in again the first two majors. He was struggling to get around. You could definitely notice it. You could see it in his face, and especially on Saturday and Sunday. And it's like, well, if he's not having that issue and he can shape it and he can hit those
yeah.
shots, it's like he's
Like the
that guy.
U.S.
He
Yeah,
he
like the
is
U.S.
Tiger,
Open and stuff. You're
you
like,
know?
you gotta kind of a lot of times gotta keep it. You got to keep it straight off the tee, and there's all the stick rough that you have to lash out of his like million plated back, his knee, all that's like kind of not really. I mean, if you can get into some nasty stuff here, don't get me wrong, but it's just a whole different vibe, and it's just most importantly, links golf is just so different. Guys are changing their bounce on their wedges. Um, there's all this stuff I've been just hearing that it's just completely different, and you don't unless you have experience, which I just keep reiterating. I think he just has that above, and Rory said it best. Rory said he definitely can contend this week. It's like a chess match on this course, and he plays chess the best out here. So I think T20 at crazy 320 odds. I mean T40 at even money. I mean if you want that too, go for it. I don't see at top 65 in ties. I don't see how he doesn't make the weekend, and then it's just Tiger. He's gonna maybe he wins. I don't know.
Yeah. Being Tiger, I think, knocks out half the
Yeah,
field. It's like he's just got that aura, and you can tell he's having fun. He's having fun right now. I mean, you could see he's messing around with Rory on the putting greens and doing all this stuff, and you can see him laughing and smiling. And you're like, well, God, it's Tiger feeling
yeah.
good. Like,
Stepping on
oh,
Jack's
I mean, I'm
toes.
all in on Tiger.
And the pictures. He's just
Yeah,
he's having
I
fun,
mean,
and the weather is going to be pretty calm. It seems like so he's not going to have to like worry about being too cold or maybe too hot or being too windy and too much hard swinging. Like yes, it could change in a second, and maybe it's into the wind on certain shots, but I think it's just going to be a lot of less stress for him, and the rest just comes down to mentals and
mhm.
who's better when it comes to that. So
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about Tiger, we talked about Xander. Do you have any more favorites that you really like this week that maybe you can toss out a little? Obviously it's going to be some of the top 10 guys
yeah,
that maybe are, a little bit worse odds, but something that where you can kind of toss a couple of bucks and hope that they win. And I would also like to hear if you got any long shots, any guys that, might creep up the board out of nowhere. Obviously you're banking on experience
yeah,
right now. That's kind of where you've hit that point a lot. But that doesn't mean there's not a couple of long shots, maybe some older guys that have some past experience or something. You mentioned Zach Johnson, maybe not Zach Johnson, but someone like Zach Johnson
yeah.
possibly. So some favorites, some long shots. I'd love to hear a
All
couple.
right, well, let me just run down my six outrights this week are Xander at 15-1, Spieth at 18-1. I mean, Spieth could be arguably the horse or the course horse or the course horse. That's it. Yeah, the guy loves links golf. He ranks like top three in the links model I have here. Brooks is actually up there too, but I'm actually not playing him until he cares, and he had a wedding and all, so that's a side part. But I mean,
Yeah.
Spieth loves it here. There's certain things you do. You just bet Spieth at the Masters, and you bet Spieth at the Open. That's just where you bet Spieth. It doesn't matter how he's playing the week before. It doesn't matter if he has missing a leg. You just bet Spieth. He has like seven top tens. He just continuously, and he looked great last week. I think he top 10 last week or something like that. So,
Hmm.
he
Yeah.
doesn't actually play Scotland. Apparently, he doesn't usually play the week before that often. I heard in his interview. So he says he feels even more comfortable than he has before. Take it for what it's worth, but
Mm.
how do you not take Spieth? The world's going to be on him. But so Spieth at 18-1. Um, then I'm on Shane Lowry at 22-1. Another guy who's just gritty. He's an insane putter. Although he's the last 2 weeks, the thing that's let him down has been the putting. So that's my only issue. But Shane Lowry shows up in majors. I have him at T20 as well because he should safely get into the T20. Um, and then I'm sitting on Cantley at 28-1. Cam Smith at 28-1. I don't know how I feel about this, but I'm just it's a gut feeling. That odds are crazy for the guy who just I mean the guy that just won the
He,
players, so it's like
he's a consistent
yeah.
guy. He's a player that seems to show up most weeks. At least he's going to be in contention, and he sneaks out a good Sunday and very easily could win this golf
And then
tournament for sure. I feel like Cam Smith is a guy, especially at good odds, you got to take. Why
he
not? He's also
yeah,
another
his
fun guy
he
to
was kind
watch.
of glow getting crazy for the last month or so after all that success. I think he took time off and he was making every putt, but his tee game he started losing strokes off the tee for many tournaments afterwards. And but he
Mm,
he looked good last week. I was looking at his stats. He kind of got that figured out the last two. He's one of the best scramblers. The guy gets up and down from everywhere. Again, that's what you're gonna need. You're gonna need the guy wins big tournaments. You need that. So yeah, you got to take Cam Smith. I think it's going to be a putting contest in a sense, and he's one of the best putters. So, and then my other outright, my sixth one, and it's kind of a long shot, but not really. Is I don't know how I'm doing this, but Tony Finau at 50-1. Another guy who has multiple T10s in the Open the last few years. He's playing good again. His putting, he's a great lag putter somehow. I thought he's putting kind of. I saw him today on Twitter with all these it looked like he had his stilts like trying to get his putting a line, which I hope is just like for fun and not because my bet's already in. But
Practice.
yeah, he apparently is a decent lag putter. His scrambling, I didn't really know that about him. He's amazing. He's up. He's crazy around the greens. Um, and yeah, I mean Tony just is another guy who just continuously shows has success at the links course. I mean my top 10 right here in terms of links rounds strokes total since 2015. You got Brooks, Xander, Spieth, Finau, Rahm, Fleetwood, Oosthuizen, Hatton, Johnson, Cantley, Rose. They're all up there. And that's over 50 rounds. Then you have Scheffler who's up there, but he doesn't have many rounds. And I'm not sold on Scheffler. That was the other thing I was going to mention. It just takes a little bit of experience, I think, again around here. And he missed the
Mhm.
cut last week, but it was also a terrible draw because I had a few guys who went off late. And the course was playing 3 strokes harder. It's like the second worst
Yeah.
split I think I read that it's ever been. So I don't really want to put too much stock into it,
Mm.
but I still want to see more from a guy like him and Will Zalatoris. So both are the two main guys I think I'm skipping. And Rory, I have a 2 unit on the top 10 for plus 130. I don't want to take him at 10-1. I honestly think he should and can win this week, obviously, but I think 2 units on. I mean, to win it to win will be like a 10-1. I'm like 2 units if he top tens. I mean, I'm missing on 8 unit, but it's like the same thing. It's such a low price that I just like I don't know. And there's a lot of pressure. He knows that he needs this. Someone said like if you don't win this tournament at St. Andrews, like, your career isn't finished or completed. And I think there is
Mhm.
pressure on him, um, but I 2 unit on him to T10, and I have Fitz T10, T20 all over the board. Fitzpatrick is just going to be there. I don't think he's going to win again per se. He doesn't have much experience here. He
Mhm.
said, surprisingly, but. And then in terms of long shots, I mean, I'm rolling. You gotta love Max Homa. Uh, He doesn't have too much experience, but
Mhm.
he led the field off the tee last week in Scotland. Um, he just put that new Titleist driver, that whatever TSI 3 or whatever, that everyone's craving and raving
Mhm.
about. Um,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
so off the tee is huge. He's going to be down the middle ideally, and then he's a streaky putter. He's a good putter, but some weeks, like I think he had the record. He had 99 putts the one tournament. He almost won, and that was the record for like that decade.
Yeah.
99 putts in 4 rounds. So he can putt as well and off the
Crazy.
tee. So there's what else do you need? And then another guy who's down real low at crazy odds. I don't know, maybe 100-1 is uh what's his name? Ju Young Kim. I think he finished
Oh,
in
yeah.
fourth last week, but he also is not just a guy that came up overnight. They call him Tom. I found out today because when he was young, he said he liked Thomas the train, and then they shortened it to Tom, and now they just call him Tom. Apparently, it's the funniest thing I ever heard. So Tom Ju Young Kim,
Yep.
yeah, he came in I think like third or fourth last
There you
week.
go.
Or second, I think, and then but like low key, he came in 23rd at the U.S. Open this year. So he's just slowly getting on the map, and that's a guy who I have at T20 at plus 500. I mean, half unit on that.
Mhm.
So he's a big underdog. You got to go with Gary Woodland is another underdog or another long shot I like around 100 to 1 range. Um, I mean, he played really well last week. He kind of fell off on the weekend, but he's a guy that plays well in majors. Um, He can flight the ball. He's famous for that little stinger. Um, and he's a streaky putter as well. Um, I'm on a little bit of Fleetwood at T20. The guy loves it over here, but he's not a winner to me, so I'm never gonna bet him outright. But he'll probably T13
Yeah,
or something. Um, to be honest, I didn't have too many
I
long
don't know.
shots, but
What
the
I'm
Ji Kim, Woodland, Homa, Finau is kind of longish range. I think they're some of the main guys I'm targeting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it sounds like what you from your end, it sounds like there's a lot of value on the board, and you kind of have to pick and choose your spots maybe, but there's a lot of different ways you can bet this tournament, and there's a lot of fun ways to definitely make some money if it's T20, T10, or
Yeah.
even the outright. I mean, you gave a bunch of good names, and I think we're going to see a really good tournament. I think we're going to see a lot of the top guys contending. I think we're going to see Tiger in it. I think we're going to see Rory in it, and that's really what we love. I think that's really what golf
Uh-huh.
fans want. They want, if we're going to be at the home of golf, we want the best in golf, and we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see a great tournament. I'm so
I
excited.
know.
I mean, every major is exciting, but like when you get it in, especially the Open, when you get it at St Andrews, we see the road hole. We start to see some of the pieces of the golf course that you remember from again those past tournaments, and it's like, well, it's gonna be a good
Yeah.
week. I mean, and there's a lot again, like you said, there's a lot of ways to bet this. So I'm excited. I know it sounds like you're excited. Um, I want to say if there's any last thoughts, I'm going to leave the floor open, but I think you left us in a really good spot. That was fabulous. I loved having you
Yeah,
on.
I guess I feel like I talked the whole time. Didn't really give you time, but a couple two other props that I'm on that I like. I think are pretty good value is top senior uh Harrington. I think I gave this out when we did one of the previous shows and it hit. It was close. I think it actually went into the weekend, but here I think you have Mickelson's considered a senior now, I believe. But then it's a lot. I mean, Harrington is still
Hmm.
playing amazing golf. He just won the Senior Open. The guy's still hitting at 350. The guy is not a senior. He can probably
Yeah,
contend on the PGA Tour. So I mean, at plus
he's a
one
dog.
ninety, that's a total 1 unit bet for me. And then another interesting one I
Yeah.
found. I was me and my guys in my golf group were talking. Is weird, but it's the top Welsh from the guy from Wales, the top Welsh player, and Jamie Donaldson. He's not a very uh, shiny player by any means, but he's minus 125 odds. There's only two other guys he's playing against. One guy is Oliver Farr or something like that. I looked at his stats. The guy is terrible. I don't know how he got in, to be honest. And then the other guy is this guy with the last name Dodd, and he's 60 years old and hasn't played in 2 years or something. So he's like plus something crazy.
Perfect.
So I'm getting 125. I threw 2 units on this. And Donaldson just posted a T6 at the Scottish last week. So he doesn't actually have many experience in majors. I don't know how as a 46-year-old, but he looks like he's in form, and that's really what golf comes down to. Guys who are in form, and these other
Hmm.
two guys are just kind of complete outliers. So at minus 125 odds, I slammed 2 units on that. So Harrington, top
There you
senior,
go.
Jamie Donaldson, top Welsh player. And then a quick rundown again at the top 10 guys I like this week. Xander, no order really, but Xander, Spieth, Lowry, Cantley, uh, Finau, Fitzpatrick, Homa, Fleetwood, Tiger, and Tommy Kim. Too young Tom Kim. They're like the 10 guys. I think they're going to all be somewhere. You can T10, T20 them up the board, bet them outright, whatever you want to do. But if you want to sprinkle some long shots, maybe a little bit of Homa, Woodland action. Um, at the end of the day, no one's going to lift a claret jug you haven't really heard of before. So it's going to just,
Yeah.
you kind of, majors are almost easy in a sense to just, you kind of can cut half the field a lot of times. With this distance not really being a thing, though, you
Yep.
might see an older guy like a Stenson or someone who can just like an experienced older guy who's not really informed, but like it's not going to be some random guy. I really would doubt it. Like so, that's basically my final thoughts. Just put a lot of stress into lag putting. Watch the weather. Um, just around the greens and scrambling. That's how you win majors. Every major is scrambling. So that's kind of
Yep.
where I'm at.
That was fabulous. I mean, you ran us all the way around the track. We almost needed to do hole by hole. I think that would have been our last kind of the finishing touch to this. But thanks for coming on. That was a blast. I mean, always a good time talking golf. You're very knowledgeable, and you definitely got some good bets that I will definitely be taking. Hopefully, everyone else will. I think we all want to see Tiger win this week,
Yeah,
but you know
let's
what?
go.
And he might be fun. That's a long shot too. So we get a little bit, you may be able to cash out a little
Yeah,
bit more. I think we should wrap this up. Ryan, thank you. Again, you can find him at SharpMinds247 on Twitter. This was great. Can't wait to have you back on.
absolutely. Starts in 5 hours. Let's get it.